Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys are all doing well. I've got Rebecca here, aka Bex, who used to be our Madagascar product manager, and I've invited her on to this live on Madagascar, but just because of her passion. You know, when we decided we're doing a live on Madagascar, I thought the first person I want to get in is Bex, because she just absolutely loves the country. You'll also notice this is the first live we've actually done with two of us in the same room. You can see we social distancing, yeah, of course, but it is a sign that we can start sort of moving back to a semi-normal life prior to COVID. But of course, we're being very safe about it all. So welcome back. So first, before we start, I just want to ask everyone out there, please, during this live, please do like us, love us, of course, and share with your friends. We want to expand our travel network. And then also during the show, you're going to notice that we're putting up one-time discount codes randomly throughout the show, which you can utilize to email us in to get discounts on the 1,000 Views tour that we're going to be chatting about today. So yeah, Bex, I mean, how many times did you land up going to Madagascar?
I think I've been there about 4 times now.
Okay.
Every time a different place. To the north twice, to the east, to the south, and through the centre as well. So very fortunate to have travelled. It's not enough. I have to go back. Yeah, it's certainly a place you can get very enthusiastic about. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's actually the same. I was actually a little bit nervous about chatting today because of the last year when we haven't been able to travel. We in Cape Town, by the way, everyone. And you know, we'd be out and about traveling so often. Almost, you know, I felt a little bit rusty on the Madagascar subject, but of course it comes back pretty quickly. So today we're going to be joined by Michael, who does all our operations on the ground in Madagascar. And we're going to go over the 1,000 Views itinerary, which really is, there's so many different areas one can go to Madagascar. I mean, it's not a small island. I think there's a misconception. Often people think of it as an island holiday. You can go there for 10 days and see the whole country. Actually, once you've gone once, and often you get bitten and you realize you need to go back again and again to see a different part of the country. You'll see with 1,000 Views, it's really a diverse itinerary. Guys, we can actually bring Michael in now, I think, and we can start going through this fantastic itinerary of ours. Welcome, Michael. How's it going?
I'm fine, thank you. Hello to everyone.
Thanks. And so let's start on the 1,000 Views. Michael, of course, you recently just been to Madagascar, and you were telling us earlier on you flew into Andasibe.
Yes, I flew into Andasibe because that's the only place which is open for the moment for tourism. And since I have a resident card, I was allowed to cross over to the main island, and then went also to Tana and Antsirabe. But tourists for the moment are restricted to Andasibe and the surrounding islands.
So just to give a bit of information, Andasibe is in the north of Madagascar. So far up at the top and the left, you'll see it's a cluster of islands there. Andasibe is up there. Great place to go for your beach holiday, scuba diving, fishing, a whole lot of islands, lovely for snorkeling, yacht trips, all sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, for the water sports enthusiast, or you know, snorkeling, diving, fishing, lying on the beach, it's just perfect. And then you can still see some lemurs on the different islands because you sort of island hop around there. But yeah, anyone who enjoys the ocean and the beach, that's definitely the spot to go to. So Michael, this specific itinerary, the 1,000 Views, why do you think it's such a popular itinerary for someone who hasn't been to Madagascar before?
I think this is because it has such a huge variety of landscapes in it, and you see some of the top highlights of Madagascar. You see a lot of chameleons, you see a lot of lemurs, and you see some baobab trees in the southern part as well. So it has several of the very top highlights of Madagascar in it, and it's a very nice combination of different landscapes and also of different fauna and flora. and you also see different people along the way, because Madagascar is composed of 18 different tribes, and you see several of them. You see the Highlanders, the Betsileo, and the Merina, and then you also see the Sakalawa in the south on the beach and so on. You see several tribes as well. Very beautiful combination.
Yeah, I must say, that's the one. I remember my first trip to Madagascar, and then of course, because we operate throughout Southern and East Africa, it really did blow me away on how different it is to mainland Africa, and how diverse. And obviously in mainland Africa, people originally come for the big five, and Madagascar doesn't have that, but it certainly has very unique endemic flora and fauna that you won't find anywhere else. And in many instances, I remember that first trip, almost some of the flora and fauna is out of this world. You don't expect it to even be on this planet.
Yeah, so what I find amazing, I love watching David Attenborough films, and he obviously has done quite a few documentaries, including Madagascar and the lemurs in the programs. And he did a 3-series Madagascar in 2011, actually. And it's quite incredible watching it on TV. And one of the people I most respect on this earth, David Attenborough, talking about giraffe-necked weevil and the bamboo lemurs, the golden bamboo lemurs that you find in different. You find it around Mufana only, I think. And then actually going to see them, actually seeing them in real life is just quite incredible. So it's I'm from the UK, and I would watch this TV in England, in London, cold and chilly, and watching amazing places. And I never actually thought I'd get the opportunity to see it all. It's on a TV. It's not something you actually would be able to witness yourself. So just being able to walk in a national park and see a giraffe-necked weevil on a leaf, or a leaf-tailed gecko, or an indri, or the ringtail lemurs jumping around, or sifakas. It's amazing to see. So for me, it's an incredible experience. I know Garth felt the same as well. But every time I go back, it's a different experience. There's so much to do there, so much to see, and a huge variety of different wildlife and fauna as well. And then of course, the geography is very different when you travel from the north down to the south. So there's a lot to do.
So we can move on to the next slide there, guys. So Tana. So in short, Tana. So guys, I battle with these long names of Madagascar. So we all shorten things. So, but Tana is the main city in Madagascar where you usually fly into. Michael alluded to at the moment there aren't flights going into Tana, but you fly in, you enter the country to Antsirabe. But the diversity of Tana, it is a massive, sprawling city, and I mean, you're just looking left and right, and you're just entertained by everything that you see. They've got this incredible marketplace with amazing spices and animals and whatnot there. I mean, what do you think of Tana when you?
It is one of my favorite cities, actually. So I'm pretty well traveled. I think I've traveled through half of Africa, or driving 3 different countries, and I always love returning to Tana. I would, for anyone who's been to Stone Town and Zanzibar, it's a destination in a destination. So it's colourful. You've got the greenery of all the agriculture going around. You've got the red earth. All the buildings are made of the red clay. So very diverse colours. It's bustling. There's a lot of culture going on. The buildings are quite incredible. The architecture themselves, they're all kind of higgledy-piggledy built together. And it's an amazing place to go. There's also a lot of lovely places you can drive to a lot of viewpoints to have a look. There's certain things to do in town as well. So the market is something that I love going to. I think I've filled up my house with quite a lot of craft goods and vanilla. So obviously Madagascar is very well known for its spices. And vanilla grows there, and it's one of their exports, I believe. So every time I go, I buy some vanilla, because it's obviously very expensive to put in your cooking, and in Madagascar it's not so expensive. But in the markets you can get things like all the handcrafts, so all the little intricate wooden decoupage pictures, little boxes, silk that comes from around the country, so silk woven into a variety of different things, tablecloths, prints, little metal cars that they've made out of tin cans, and taxi bus also that they made out of tin cans. It's amazing, all the different things you can buy and see. It's a lot of fun, things to take home, as a memory from your holiday. A couple of
the restaurants are good.
The restaurants are
really good and diverse.
So that's something else. So the food in Madagascar is actually lovely also. So, it's Michael could possibly comment better on here because he spent more time. But there's obviously a French flair to the cooking, but mixed with kind of an Asian twist as well. Michael, maybe you could comment a bit more on the food for us.
Yeah, in Madagascar, the manual things, there is not much employment in Madagascar, so many people try to do something with their hands. So many people, they got into arts and crafts, and they produce something out of wood or out of stone, or they used leather or natural fibers, raffia fibers, and they create such incredibly beautiful hats and baskets and wood carvings, and then also you can get these solitaire games with the stones, lots of different stones that you can find in Madagascar, very beautiful. And you can find beautifully handmade tablecloth and napkins and so many things that you can get there. And then also food-wise, I mean, you can get all the spices there, so many great spices in Madagascar. And you may also want to take home some of these locally made very, very hot chili pastes. It's called sakai in the local language. It's very, very dangerous stuff. And then they have not only the tropical fruits such as mango, pineapple and so, but now is the season also for apples and pears and plums and fruits that you can also find in Europe. So it has both. It has the tropical lychees and so on, and it has the European fruits that you can find in summer in Europe as well, or in South Africa. And it's just a very fascinating combination of everything.
Guys, you know what this sorry to interrupt, Michael, but this is actually reminding me of the different travel shows we used to do back then. Because Bex was such an expert on Madagascar with so much passion. Often I used to grab her with any of our international agents and she would start talking to them. And an hour later, I'll come back to the table, she'd still be talking to them about Madagascar. And that's the reason why I'm saying that now. I see we like 13 minutes into this live, and the 1,000 views covers so much ground. So we're probably going to have to speed up this chat and go through the slides. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time, because I know we want to do a bit of a question and answer session after the live as well. So the next place we move on to is Andasibe, where the largest lemur is found, the Indri. And I mean, that's another thing that's stuck in my brain. I remember what's great about Madagascar as well is you get out of the vehicle, and in the national parks, you're doing a fair bit of walking. And you're seeing all the small little things in the rainforest, and of course you're often targeting the lemurs. But I remember the lemur calls coming through the forest canopy way before you've even seen the Indri, and that call is just unbelievable. I don't know what you thought of this.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So all the Indri families call to each other to let them know where they are, and it's an amazing experience to go to the reserves. You can't drive in the reserves in Madagascar, they're all walking reserves, which is really nice. You get to stretch your legs and be part of the forest rather than being inside a vehicle and looking from inside. So you get to smell the fauna, you get to look at the lemurs and feel the earth under your feet. It's a lovely experience. And the guides are fantastic also in scouting out the lemurs for you, so you don't have to hike for 6 to 10 hours to go and find them like you would with gorillas. They know where they are. But Andasibe is a fantastic place. It's about 4 hours drive from Tana. It's probably going to be your first experience of seeing lemurs in their natural habitat. I think they've got 11 species of lemurs there. And also you get to see you do a night walk also, so you can see the different nocturnal chameleons and other animals that you wouldn't see during the day.
We can move on then, guys. Yeah, this is some of the diversity one sees, and then en route, you've got your rice paddy fields and that.
So during the tour, we obviously start in Tana, and then we go to Andasibe, and then back through the central town down south. So we head from the centre down south, and we head to Antsirabe. So it's really the centre of Madagascar's wood carving industry. There's a lot of local industries there, as well as silk makers, and the architecture is incredible. So a lot of the buildings have ornately carved wooden balconies and shutters with bright colours. Very pretty town to visit. And on the tour, you generally stop there and stop at a couple of different vendors on your way to Ringtail, which is your second national park of the tour. National Park Ringtail is about a 7-hour drive from Tana, but obviously we don't do it in one go. We stop it off with lunch break, and then obviously stopping at different artisanal places. It's a rainforest, so I think there's about 12 lemur species there, 115 bird species, lots of reptiles. Here you can find ii, and also the golden boundary lemur, which was only discovered in 1986, so within our lifetime. It's very interesting, and that was also featured on David Attenborough's Madagascar documentary. It's just a lovely reserve. It's a very it's a rainforest. So as you're walking through, it's very damp. There's lots of different fauna there. One of my favourite memories actually of Madagascar is arriving to Ringtail in the evening, and it was dark and you couldn't see anything, but you could hear water running everywhere, and the anticipation of waking up in the morning and seeing what it was like was so exciting. So it's a really, really lovely reserve. You hike through there to see different lemur species. Again, we provide amazing guides with you, so English-speaking guides, but also they have scouts that will go off and find the lemur families for you, so you don't have to hike for hours on end. And it's not just about the lemurs; it's also about the other wildlife you will find: frogs, chameleons, a whole lot of centipedes, millipedes, a whole lot of different things you'll find. And often the guide will just stop at a plant and will peel back a leaf, and there's the tiniest little colourful frog hiding in the leaf. So these are things you would never see without a guide, and if you were just trying to walk through an area on your own, you wouldn't get to experience this. It's a great experience.
Another thing I remember, in our early days operating in Madagascar, we used to get so many inquiries from people who wanted to do self-drives. And when you try to tell them, listen, you can't self-drive. And they, some of them maybe have been to Namibia and mainland Africa, and they go, of course we can self-drive. And you go, no, you can't. A lot of these areas aren't signposted. The language is an issue as well. Obviously people speak French in the main centers, but as soon as you get out, they speak Madagascar, and you actually just can't find some of these places. And I know going one of my first trips there, and the guides are going down these narrow little jeep tracks into the forest, and you think they're going to some arbitrary little place, but they're taking you to a national park. So you wouldn't find it as on a self-drive, and you can't self-drive. You always have to take a driver always has to take, and a guide takes you along, and the hotels are always geared for that setup for them as well.
So then beyond Ringtail, we stop at Ambalavaos. So there you get to see quite a lot of the different cultural things. So there's a traditional marina house visit. It's also Fianarantsoa is also a wine industry area. There's a world famous paper factory there, so you get to see the local people hand making paper, and then they're setting flowers into the paper. So it's so amazing to see. And then also a silk weaving studio. So even as the tour isn't just about the wildlife, it's also about everything you see in between. So the journey from one place to another, all the environments you pass through, all the different crafts, the people you meet, the families you meet, the meals you get to eat. It's just quite an experience for every sense. So I know obviously most people think about you go somewhere just to see the lemurs, but there is so much more to Madagascar than just that.
And the people are amazing.
People are
just incredible, so friendly. Yeah. Small people, it's quite interesting, but there's always a smile on their face, and you stop in these different marketplaces. Actually, don't get too. It's almost like they just allow you to enjoy their little village and marketplace, and don't come running around after you and that, trying to sell you things or whatnot. But it's just really refreshing, and and then you start to learn through your guide, about the different cultures and the different habits that they're doing and culture-wise, which is fascinating.
And then when we leave Fianarantsoa, we also pass through Antsirabe Reserve, which is a community-run reserve where you can actually walk through the wooded area, through boulders, and there's a whole variety of different shoots of ringtail lemurs. So that's obviously the lemur that people consider when they think of Madagascar. And they live there wild. They are actually quite used to human contact. So you get to see them up close. They're not going to run away from you. You get some great photo opportunities. So, again, that's something it's not a national park, it's kind of like a community-run reserve, but it's something you also wouldn't expect to see. You see the national parks on the map and you don't know these places, so your guides take you to these special places. Beyond Fianarantsoa, we head down to Isalo National Park. I know that this is one of Michael's favourites, amazing for hiking. And also you're going into a different part of the country, so you're heading down to the south, so it's a very different landscape. Grassy plains surrounded by sandstone ridges in various different forms. So very interesting to see, very different from what you've seen already. Also during your hikes, you'll see the sucker lava tombs that are wedged into rocks. It's great to get out and stretch your legs as well. And I think, the hike that we do with German safaris, the aim is this beautiful picture you're seeing right now. It's a natural swimming pool, which is such a nice relief after hiking in the heat. And there's lots of shade, it's cool water. It's a really lovely experience. So we all kind of wear our bikinis and jump in for a swim.
It's a magical oasis.
Awesome. Yeah. So nice. Yeah. And then beyond Isalo, we head down to Tulear. So passing dry forest, you see some baobabs down in the south, some spiny desert. And then we also head to Ifaty. So we have to pass through Tulear. We stop there for lunch generally, have a look around, and then head on to Ifaty. So it's not far. Ifaty is not far from Tulear, but it's along a sand piece. So it takes quite a long time to get there, mostly along the coast. Traditionally, it's a fishing village. It's also kind of the break at the end of the tour. So it's a chance to just chill out on the beach. You can go snorkeling, diving. Also in season, the whales visit there, so it's lovely to go on a whale watching trip on the boat. But there's also a reserve in Ifaty that you can walk to and get to see the spiny forest. And it's a lovely time just to relax and finally, kind of get to enjoy the ocean after you've traveled through kind of the highlands and the dry south. Nice experience. Michael, do you have anything to add about Isalo? You mentioned the other day that you're really fond of the hikes there.
Well, Isalo is a really amazing place because the landscapes are just wonderful. The rocks are dating from Jurassic Age, and you can see lots of canyons, and some of the rocks have very funny shapes. One looks like a crocodile head, and the other looks like a turtle, and so on. But then you were talking about Ifaty and the beach. Ifaty is also amazing because it has great kite surfing there and windsurfing, because there's always a little wind going on there. So I think 8 months of the year you can do great kite surfing, and no one is there kite surfing. When you go to other places, you need to fight your way through to get a spot. And there you're just alone doing the kite surf. And then you can do in the July to September season, you can do a little boat ride out to see the whales. The humpback whales are passing by there in that period of the year. And there's this huge reef, which is one of the biggest reefs in the world. I think it's third after Great Barrier and one other reef. It's about the third biggest reef in the world. It's just amazing. Diving there as well. Many activities you can do.
And also, I remember diving there, Michael, and that idea of exclusivity. You're the only divers there. You really do feel for that time that you're there that you own the reef. You're not competing with the other dive boats and other divers and that. And I think that's very rare in this day and age, to be able to find these gem places where you can get away from the bustling crowds.
Yeah.
So the 1,000 views starts in Tana, drives all the way down to Ifaty, and then ends with a flight back to Tana, and then an overnight in Tana. So again, it gives you an opportunity to do some sightseeing in Tananarivo, and some of my favourites are visiting the Royal Hill of Mboimanga, which is a royal city and a burial site for Madagascar's sovereigns, dating back to the 15th century. Very interesting and beautiful views because it's right overlooking the city. The Lemurs Park in Tana is wonderful. It's got 7 species of lemurs there, and a lot of fauna. You can learn a lot about different plant life there. And also we mentioned the artisanal market, so also lots of fun. The tour is 11 nights, 12 days, is that right? And we offer, a gentleman offers a seat and vehicle tour as well as a tailor-made itinerary. So it follows the same pattern. Obviously, seat and vehicle makes it more affordable. You join other travelers. It's a lovely way to experience a tour with other people, but also keeps the cost down. And then obviously, if you want to change the itinerary at all, or you're only 2 or 3 people, or if you're a group of friends, you also can take the itinerary and change it as you like. So if you want to do longer hikes in some of the reserves, spend extra nights in Isalo or in Ranamafana and do some of the bigger hikes, go to the St. Lake, and veer a little bit off the itinerary, you can do that too. So there's a lot of options for concentrating on your passions. You know, often we get bird watchers as well. When I worked with gentlemen, we used to get bird watchers wanting to see specific species of birds, and we could spend far longer in the reserves than we normally would have, because they all want to sit for hours on end trying to find, you know, to tick off the species of birds that they've been looking to see. So, you know, talk to gentlemen if you have a specific passion, or there's a particular type of lemur or creature that you'd like to see. Talk to gentlemen safaris, and they can work it out for you.
I mean, you know, the other thing also people often ask, they go, why must we spend a night in Tana first and then head off, and then on the way back spend a night in Tana before you go out? Well, I think firstly, it's better for your international connections of flying out of the country. But secondly, as Bex has alluded to, there is so much to do in Tana. It is just a massive city with so much diversity at both times. I mean, I've always done it before and after whenever I go. But you have totally different experiences on both sides on any trip that you do. So it's always recommended, whether you're doing the 1,000 views or any other trip around Madagascar, to do at least one night before and a night after on your way out. Makes it a lot more comfortable and less stressful as well.
And then,
yes, Michael.
For birders, there is in Tana, there is also this little pond, the Tsarasautra pond, and that's also worth a visit. You can see during the year around 50 different species of birds there. And then the best season for birding in Madagascar is September to December, and December is actually a very good month, because December no one comes to Madagascar because people are busy at home preparing Christmas and everything. But the hotels are nearly empty, and the guides in the parks have lots of time, very friendly, very relaxed, and especially also for birders. December is still a very good month for birding, so welcome also in December. And then one season. Maybe I quickly go over into the seasons. In Madagascar, basically, January to April is not the best time of the year, because we have the rain and cyclone season. And if you are lucky, you can have 15 days of sunshine. If you're unlucky, it can pour down for a whole week or 10 days, like buckets of rain. You know, you cross the road and you're soaking wet. You cannot do anything, and it's not fun. So the best season is May to December, around Christmas time. And then there's heavier rainfall start. And then temperature-wise, June, July are the coldest month in Madagascar. It's like South Africa. It's on the southern hemisphere. And so then you need a warm pullover overnight in the highlands. In the highlands, the temperatures are, of course, much colder than in the coastal areas. In the highlands, it can get down to nearly freezing point in Antsirabe. It's the coldest nights in the year. And in Tana, usually not lower than 5 degrees plus. But you definitely need warm pullover and a jacket. And then bring a rain jacket also, because in the east it often rains, even during the dry season it can rain in the east. And then in the west it's very dry most time of the year. In some places it rains only a couple of days a year, maybe five days a year, very dry. And that's why you have the distinct areas in Madagascar. The eastern side is the wetter side with more rains, and the baobab trees, they're in the west because they don't like the wet climate. And so if you prefer the drier area in July, for example, better go to the west, because in the east it might rain a bit here and there.
So, Michael, I don't know if you see that the question that's just come through from Phil.
Yeah. Actually, Madagascar is the best place to do both, because most tours, they end on some beach. Most tours, they start in Tana or around Tana, and then they go towards the beach. And for example, the 1000 Views tour ends on the beach. So you could easily do a beach extension there in Ifaty or Anakau, or further up north there from Ifaty in Salary Bay. Beautiful beach with turquoise waters, white coral sand, just fantastic. But it takes a bit more time to get up there. From Tulear is about 4 hours drive to get up to Salary Bay. But it's just fantastic there, and you're really in a very authentic area, just fishermen villages around, nothing else, and people, they enjoy to see foreigners, and amazingly good food out there, and the best fish I ever had in my life. Absolutely amazing food. And at Salary Bay Hotel, they even have a pizza oven there and make their own bread and everything. Amazing, the great food they can put on your table. Considering where they are, out in the nowhere, just amazing.
And then also in the north, you can go to a safari up in Montanda Umbra, and then end up in Andasibe as well. So there you can also combine your safari and your beach.
Yeah. And then another place, a nice place for the beach is Sainte Marie Island in the east. And so Sainte Marie, you can combine it with the eastern tour, going down to Andasibe, and then further Nufi Pangalans Canal, and then from Tamatave cross over to Sainte Marie. And as I said, Sainte Marie is maybe July is not the best month to go. It can rain there. But on the other hand, there is great whale watching in July to September. So sometimes you have to compromise a bit. And then to answer the question that just came in from Kimberly, the tourism affected the country quite a bit. It helped develop certain areas, and it also helped to make people aware, the local people, that if they protect the nature, the tourists will keep coming back, and that provides them jobs. So tourism is on one hand helping to protect the existing fauna and flora, and the reserves, the national parks and reserves have been increasing over the last 20 years quite a bit, the surfaces dedicated to national parks and reserves. So that's another very good impact from tourism. And then tourism provides directly to 300,000 people jobs, and indirectly it's feeding 1.5 million people. One person in Madagascar, they have quite large families, so they have a lot of children, and so they have to feed a lot of mouth. And it's a very important job provider, tourism, because Madagascar has very little industry, a little bit industry, fishing, a little bit in textile, and then spices also. They export spices. Vanilla is the main, Madagascar is the main producer for vanilla, for example. They also export cloves to Indonesia, and pepper to many countries, and so on. And then this new question that just came in about local currency. The local currency is not convertible abroad. You cannot buy ari-ari, as it's called, abroad. You have to get it when you arrive. And in Madagascar, in Antananarivo, the capital city, the best exchange rate you get actually at the airport, which is different than in other countries where often at the airport the exchange rate is not good. Madagascar, the exchange rate is very good at the airport. Credit cards you can only use in the upmarket hotels and in a very few restaurants. And there is ATM machines where you can withdraw money with Master and Visa cards. American Express and diners are not used at all in Madagascar. Maybe there's 1 or 2 places in the whole country where you can use them. So please bring, if you want to bring credit card, Visa and MasterCard, but also bring a little bit of cash, because sometimes these machines don't work or there is a power cut, and then you are without any money. So at worst case, you can pay in the hotels with the euro or US dollars, but better change money and get the local currency.
And what current is it still euros these days? As mainland Africa, people bring US cash. So would you recommend still on the euro side, Michael?
Basically, both is fine, US dollar and euro. But in case of doubt, when you have to pay at the hotel, they would prefer euro. So maybe bring a few euro bills as well, but you can bring US dollar and change them everywhere in all the banks, and also some hotels take them, yeah.
And Michael, the big questions nowadays, of course, is can you travel to Madagascar, for instance, at the moment? Which airlines are still flying into Madagascar, and what are the plans for the airlines to come back into Madagascar? And then lastly, of course, sorry, I'm hitting you with quite a few questions. But this is what obviously this is what everyone's asking nowadays as we move to a semi-post-COVID world. And what are the regulations at the moment in connection with COVID tests and the time period before you arrive, etc.?
Yes, maybe I quickly tell first how the situation is at the very moment. Madagascar has brought out a list mid-January of 44 countries from where you are not allowed to come to Madagascar. And Genman has this list available, and if clients are not sure if they can travel there, they can send an email to Genman to get this list. And at the moment, only Antsirabe Island in the northwest of the country is open for tourism, and only Ethiopian Airlines flies there directly from Addis Ababa. And Ethiopian Airlines connects to many, many countries around the world. They also fly to the US, they fly to Asia, several cities, they fly to Europe, several cities, and have quite good tariffs as well. And the layover in Addis Ababa on the way to Madagascar is usually just 2-3 hours. On the way back, it might be a little bit longer. Addis Ababa, the airport is open, the shops are open, restaurants are mostly closed. When I was there in January, only one restaurant was open, small restaurant, but you can get some drinks at the shops there and some snacks. And then you are not allowed to cross over from Antsirabe Island to the main island of Madagascar for the moment. We don't know yet when it will open. During normal times, non-COVID times, Kenya Airways flies daily to Antananarivo. South African flies from Joburg daily to Antananarivo, and once or twice a week, depending on the season, also to Antsirabe. But at the moment, the flight is suspended to Antsirabe from South Africa. Air France flies 3 to 4 times a week from Paris, direct flight. Air Madagascar flies 3 times a week from Paris, and I think they fly once a week from Marseille, from southern France also. And who else? Air Mauritius flies from Mauritius, and they connect to many places also in Asia and Europe. Air Austral from Reunion flies to Madagascar also daily, and Air Austral, they also fly to several airports in different areas of Madagascar, so that can be a nice combination as well, because you could actually fly in through Reunion and go straight to Diego Suarez, for example, and then do a trip and end up in Antsirabe and fly back to Reunion from Antsirabe. Can be a good option. And also same with Ethiopian, you can fly into Nosy Be and fly out of Antananarivo in normal times. So that can be an interesting combination as well, because it might save you a domestic flight. And then Emirates, I heard they are planning to fly to Madagascar in the near future. That will open other options because Emirates flies to many countries worldwide. At the moment, you can fly with Emirates to Mauritius. Well, maybe not at the moment because Mauritius is closed, but in normal times, you can fly to Mauritius and then hop over with Air Mauritius to Madagascar also. So you have actually quite many options now these days, and it's way better than 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we had almost monopoly situation with Air France and Air Madagascar and South African, but now you have Ethiopian and Kenya Airways who go to many cities worldwide. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think that also earlier on, I think it was fully asked, can you do a safari with the beach? But a lot in pre-COVID times, we would often get clients coming to Southern Africa, and then you can fly across to Antsirabe. So they'll come on safari in Southern Africa, and then head across to Antsirabe to go and have their island beach holiday. Or, of course, the combination of Kenya with Madagascar is also another fantastic one, where you can do mainland Africa and Madagascar. And that'll be back soon, we hope.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can do nice combinations with the surrounding places. Since we have direct connections with Kenya, with Ethiopia, with South Africa, with Reunion, with Mauritius, you can Comoros as well. You can combine with all those places, and that gives fantastic combinations. And South African, as I said, they used to fly once or twice a week to Nosy Be. And I just got an email this afternoon that they suspended until 27th of June, and they hope until then this red list where South Africa is on will be gone until then. That's what we all hope, that it will open up soon again.
And at the moment in Nosy Be, Michael, are they doing COVID testing there for your way out?
Yes, actually, if you arrive, you have to show a test that is done less than 72 hours ago upon arrival. But then you have to do another PCR test right there on the spot at the airport. And you have to go through a little disinfection tunnel where they disinfect you. And then you have to stay 2 days in quarantine in a hotel on Nosy Be until you get the result of the test. But you are allowed to move within the hotel. You are allowed to go to the beach of the hotel if it's on the beach. And then once you have the result of the test, then you're allowed to go to the surrounding islands, but not over to the main island. And then if your country where you came from requires a PCR test upon arrival, you can do it in Nosy Be. You can do it. You can go to the hospital there, and you can get the test, and it takes around 24 hours if you go right there and do it yourself. If you after arrival, when you do it at the airport, it takes about 2 days.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, guys, thanks very much, Michael and Bex. Thanks very much, guys. Yeah, we've had a good chat. We could carry on for hours on Madagascar, but if you guys want to know any more information, do pop us an email. We've also got live chats off our General Safari's website as well. And yeah, Madagascar's coming back again. Man. And also, please don't forget to also like, love us, and share this live with any of your friends, so we can expand that travel network again. But Michael, thanks a lot, and
thank you.
Thanks for time. Keep well, guys. See you traveling again soon. Bye.
Bye.